Before a ball had been kicked this season, we went ahead and looked into the bookmakers' odds for how they were predicting the championship table to go ahead and finish. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at an updated version of just how much the bookmakers' odds have actually changed when it comes to the end of season predictions and where they see each championship club finishing this season. And it's quite fascinating to look into. If you'd like this to become a regular thing on the channel, do leave a like, where every international break or so we can look into the updated bookmakers odds and see just how much the teams have gone ahead and shifted. Without any further ado though, let's hop into this one. So we have got a massive faller at the bottom of the championship table. Huddersfield Town, who are 16 places lower than they were last predicted before the start of the season. I think in my early season predictions I had Huddersfield down around 17th, 18th, that sort of region of the table, but it's not been a good start to the season for them. 9 games played, 7 points on the board so far, a managerial change on top of that as well, and just a lot of uncertainty. And I think that uncertainty generally leads to the bookmakers putting you down there. And yeah, right now they are the favourites for relegation. Now we've actually only got 2 teams on today's video who haven't changed in their predicted position from the start of the season to where they are now. Birmingham aren't currently in the relegation zone. They're 17th in the table on 12 points, but the bookmakers still have them predicted to come 23rd based off the current relegation odds. And then claiming that last relegation spot, according to the bookies at the moment, is actually Hull City, who have fallen 10 places from where they were predicted to finish from the start of the season. More pressure building on the manager there, and defensively so, they have been a little bit all over the place. 21 goals conceded for Hull so far this season's got them down there. With Blackpool, there has been a little bit of a shift, but they are still predicted to survive as things stand, but they have fallen by 3 places since the start of the season, going off the odds. Obviously Appleton still trying to properly integrate things there, and it has been a little bit inconsistent for them so far this season. We've got another big faller in place, Coventry, who have dropped down to 20th in the bookmakers table, dropping down by 9 points. Now Coventry are somewhat at a disadvantage to everyone else at the moment because they've played less games, but 7 games played, only 3 points on the board, yet to win a match. I do think there will be a recovery from this Coventry side. I think they've got enough good players in that squad that will have to happen, but maybe not as high as we had them at the start of the season. And then we have our first riser of the video, Rotherham, who were predicted to finish rock bottom of the championship before a ball had been kicked, have moved all the way up to 19th in the bookmakers' current rankings. They're currently 8th in real life, with a game in hand on the teams above them as well. 9 games played, 14 points on the board. It's been a brilliant start for the Millers. And another side who slightly moved up in the bookmakers' estimations has been Wigan Athletic, another newly promoted club. They were predicted to survive at the start of the season, but they've actually been bumped up a few places since then as well, all the way up in 18th at the moment. In real life they're 12th in the table, with a game in hand on the teams above them. I think there's been a lot more turbulence at Cardiff this season than we first thought, with the surprising decision to go ahead and part company with Steve Morrison. Despite all of that turbulence and a little bit of inconsistency so far, they've actually only fallen 1 place in the bookmakers' odds, down to 17th. They're currently 18th in real life. A much bigger faller so far has been Swansea City, who are predicted to be right up there mixing it with the playoff teams. And obviously we are only 10 games into this season. Those clubs still could go on to have those predicted finishes that we first thought for them, but it's going to take some sort of rise to go ahead and do that. Currently Swansea are 16th in the table, and there just has been that little bit of inconsistency still about their game this season, but it shows how tight the championship is, that Swansea are currently 16th on 12 points and they're only 3 points away from the playoffs. The biggest riser that we've had in today's video so far is Reading, though. They're loving life in 3rd in the championship at this point in time. I think had you gone back to that early season prediction video, the vast majority of people, myself included, probably would have had Reading in that bottom 3, or at least there and thereabouts. The bookmakers have gone ahead and bumped them up by 7 places from where they initially had them predicted. Luton are pretty much there or thereabouts from their original prediction. They've only moved up 1 place, but if you are trending in the right direction, I think that's only a positive, really. Next up then though, and to a big jump up for Bristol City. I have to admit, admit I was surprised by Bristol City's placing at the start of the season. I was always quite positive on Bristol City's chances of going ahead and improving this time around, but the bookmakers didn't seem to share those same thoughts, and they were actually one of the 6 teams who were most backed for relegation, it seemed, at the start of the season. Listen, they still can be a little bit chaotic with the goals they concede, but up in 9th in the Championship at the moment, I think they've been a lot of fun this season. Despite the problems that my side, Preston North End, have had in front of goal, we've actually moved up in the bookmakers' estimations by quite a bit, actually. We've moved up 7 places than our original placing at the start of this season. I did think they had us maybe a little bit lower than I would have first thought, but Preston have been a tough side to put your finger on so far this season, creating chances but missing the vast majority of them, but also managing to keep things really tight at the back. Millwall have had a little bit of a bump up from their original predicted position from the start of the season. They've moved up 3 places up to 11th. They've also had a little bit of an inconsistent ride so far, but I think that applies to the vast majority of teams that are in this sort of region of the table. Stoke have gone ahead and fallen by 1 place from their original prediction, but I do think there's a lot more positivity and optimism around the club now that Alex Neil has sort of walked in, brought his fresh ideas into this group as well. I think originally Stoke were always predicted to finish a little bit higher than maybe expected under Martin O'Neill in that 9th place, but now with Alex Neil, I think anything's possible. We've then got the biggest riser of today's video in general, Blackburn Rovers, who have gone up 8 places from their predicted position from the start of the season, all the way up in 9th at the moment. Blackburn have been a little bit of an all or nothing side so far this season. 10 games played, 5 wins, 5 losses, no draws in the middle. QPR are another side who are trending in the right direction. They're up by 5 places going off the bookmakers' odds from their original predicted position at the start of the season. I think that with QPR and Blackburn, because it was 2 new managers coming into the league, there was a little bit of uncertainty about how they go ahead and hit the ground running, but both of them I think have done quite well so far. QPR obviously currently sitting in the top 6. Even with all the turbulence that's been going on behind the scenes at Sunderland this season, I think they've taken to the level exceptionally well so far. They're currently 5th in the table, and despite all the drama that surrounded the exit of Alex Neil, Tony Mowbray, for what it's worth, I think has come in and sort of steadied the ship and carried on that improvement, even with some of the injuries that they have had in the final third. They're up by 3 places. This is where things get interesting in the top 6 though, because interestingly enough, their top 6 in terms of the actual teams who they have predicted to finish in there at the start of the season haven't changed as of right now, but the ordering of them has gone ahead and changed. So Middlesbrough, even though they currently sit 22nd in the Championship, having only won 2 of their opening 10 matches, are still predicted to finish in the top 6 going off the current promotion odds. They've fallen down to 6th in the table, but they still just about sneak in there. Watford, who were the bookmakers' favourites before a ball had been kicked, have fallen down to 5th in the table. They were 1st at the start of the season. Watford, a little bit, or quite a bit actually, of unpredictability about them this season. A lot of draws, 10 games played, 3 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. They're 10th at the moment. It's been, a little bit of an inconsistent ride for them so far. Perhaps the most surprising call of today's video in general though is West Brom have actually gone up in the bookmakers odds in terms of the promotion odds, despite them currently sitting 21st in the table and having only won 1 of their first 10 matches. They've actually moved up from 5th before the season up to 4th at the moment. Now with West Brom, they're a bit of a tricky one to put your finger on because their underlying numbers have been really positive, but I think that was also the case at points last season as well, and ultimately they faded away. We'll see after the international break whether that will be a sort of return to the mean and those numbers do start to actually pay dividends for West Brom, or Steve Bruce continues to have these struggles. Burnley, who were predicted to finish in the top 6 at the start of the season, have actually moved up quite a bit in their estimations. They're all the way up in 3rd place at the moment and to be knocking on the automatic promotion door. Have been impressed with Burnley and Vincent Kompany so far. I thought they'd be good this season, but I thought it would take maybe a little bit more time for things to properly click for them, and because of how many new players have come in, this complete stylistic change that they've gone for this season. And there have still been moments where they have been caught out because of that, but fourth in the Championship at the moment, having only lost one of their opening 10, is really impressive stuff. Norwich, who I think are always expected to be strong in the Championship, their placing also hasn't changed for the season, so the only two teams that haven't changed in their predicted places from before a ball had been kicked are Birmingham in 23rd and Norwich in 2nd, obviously. This is the current position that Norwich do occupy in real life. 10 games played, 20 points on the board so far. Really impressive winning run, obviously, before the international break. But coming in at the top of the tree, going off the promotion odds, we now have a new leader in Sheffield United. At the start of the season, the bookies did have the Blades to finish in a playoff spot, but they've gone ahead and bumped them up to 1st place, knocking Watford off that top spot and all the way down into 5th. And I think at the moment that's more than fair enough. The Blades have been probably the most complete side in the Championship so far this season in terms of scoring goals with 19, keeping things tight at the back, having only conceded 5, and yeah, from 10 games played on 23 points, that is promotion form. There we have it though, guys. Those are the current promotion and relegation rankings in the Championship. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you all in the next one.